Hello everybody and welcome back to Amity Blue. My name is Nazi. This is a very special video. This is the third video in the 4-day series that I am putting on my channel, going up to the release to the Bohemian and Linen and Lace Textile Embellishment Kit. And as a part of the release, I also wanted to give back to you all, and I wanted to create a tutorial of the oh so loved Bohemian beads for my beautiful Bohemian journals that I created almost a year ago. They are absolutely beautiful and really special to me, and I wanted to show you guys the tutorial as to how I create my version and my signature style of Bohemian bead. I will include a couple of pictures of the Bohemian beads that I created for my Bohemian journal collection. They are my absolute favorite, and I have been wanting to create this tutorial for a while now, and I thought it would be perfect to release it with the Bohemian textile kit. So to start out with the tutorial, you're going to be wanting to take out the pieces that you need in order to create a Bohemian bead. Now luckily for you guys, if you purchase the Bohemian textile kit, all of the kits, no matter if it's a small kit or a large kit, will come with a bag including all of the things that you need in order to create a Bohemian bead just like this. Not only does every kit come with a Bohemian bead pack, but it also comes with a bag of beads. Now if you purchase the full kit, you get a full bag of beads, and if you purchase the small mini kit, you get a half a bag of beads. But still, nonetheless, all of them come with a Bohemian bead pack. So that is something that I wanted to offer for this particular textile embellishment kit. I wanted to make sure that all of you guys would be able to create your own Bohemian bead right at home using this tutorial and using the items that are included in the textile embellishment kit. Now you can certainly replace any of these things with things that you have at home. So along with your Bohemian bead kit and beads, you will be needing some tools. I definitely recommend jewelry making tools such as these. You want a wire cutter to trim any wire, some for curling the wire, some for bending the wire. You will also be needing some scissors, of course, in order to cut your fabric, since that is what we're going to be working with. And you will obviously need glue. Now you can use fabric glue. I'm using just plain tacky glue as that's what I have on hand, and that typically tends to work out pretty well. Of course, you will be needing some beads. This is one of my favorite parts, if not my most favorite. There's something so magical about beads. I mean, just look at this beautiful little bead. This is a signature bead that I always include in all of my Bohemian kits. It's a really special bead that talks to my heart because, especially with my parents, they have a signature, and when they sign their name, they both put a star at the end of their name. But this is a very special bead that I always make sure to include in all of my kits because it's kind of like I'm giving you guys a little part of myself in each kit. But as you can see, all of the beads that I have here are the beads that you will be getting in your little baggie for the textile kit. So make sure you have a good assortment of beads. You will also be wanting different types of textiles. Now this is also one of my favorites. This is what really makes your Bohemian bead come to life. It's the different relationship of the beads with the fabrics and how they just go so well together. It's a great way to also use your scraps. As you see here, these are all of the textiles that you will be getting in the Bohemian kit, but these are the scraps. So there tends to be a ton of scraps when we're cutting up the fabric for this kit, so I tend to save all of those scraps because I can't bring myself to throw any of it away. And I like to use it to create my Bohemian beads. So it's essential to have a nice collection of your Bohemian textile in order to really bring the bead to life. And that's pretty much all that you need. Like I said, there's a lot of materials depending on how fancy you want your bead to be, but you can honestly create a beautiful bead with just the basics. Alright, so to start this tutorial, the first thing that you're going to want is a little wire. Now this wire is included in your kit, and you just want a wire that has a little base to it up at the top. And we're also going to take the base to our Bohemian bead. Now your base can be various sizes. I like this size of a base. It's kind of like the middle size. This is the large size, and this is the small size. In your little kit, you get one large size and one small size, and this way you can make the large into a middle if you wanted to be a little bit smaller. but these are the 3 sizes that I typically like to work with. So we're going to use the middle size, and now it's time to start choosing our beads. So let me go into my little bead container. I know that the color scheme that I want to stick to is reds and purples. So let me take out some of the beads that I want to start using for this Bohemian bead. So I'm just pulling out a couple of beads, and I think that's enough for this one. You don't really need that many beads. Like I said, if you only have a certain amount of beads in your collection, you don't need to worry. You can use whatever you have on hand, as Bohemian beads don't require a huge amount of beads. So the first thing is you want to take your wire, and we're going to put one of our beads at the very top. We are then going to take our little accessory, which is a bead cap, and the bead caps are also included in all of the Bohemian bead kits, just because they kind of give it like a little hat to the bead. I just think it's so cute. And then we're going to take our base, the base of our Bohemian bead. And you can really use any type of thing as your base. Anything that has a cylinder shape and has a place so that you can poke in a little wire into it. If you don't have like a paper base at home, you can definitely use like a plastic straw, and that will work too, but it's just not as durable as if you have a base that's made out of cardboard or that's made out of paper, so that it's more structured. You can kind of see how the base of the bead is coming into play. And then you want to add your other bead, so your other complementary bead, right at the bottom, just like that, as you can see, hopefully on the camera. And then we're going to finish it off with a smaller bead, right at the bottom. So this is where we're at right now. Now what we're going to do is I'm going to hold the base together, so hold it with my fingers. And then I'm going to take the very top, and I'm just going to bring it down and make a little loop. Just like that. Hopefully you can see the little loop at the top. Now it's a little lopsided, that's okay. All you have to do to straighten it out is come in with some jewelry pliers that are not rounded, but they have those ridges on the inside. Hopefully you can see it on camera. And just straighten it out and then pinch it together at the bottom, just like that. So hopefully you can see the loop up at the top. Now it's not a perfect circle, and I typically don't like it to be. I like it to be a little bit more oval in shape, just because I think it elongates the bead a little bit. And you're practically halfway done with your Bohemian bead already. Like I said, it's super simple to make, and it's a lot of fun to make as well. Now comes the fun part, which is when you start decorating it with fabric. This is when you can go into your fabric stash and pick out the fabrics that you want to use to decorate your Bohemian bead. So here are the fabrics that I want to use to create my Bohemian bead. Like I said, they're all scraps, so I don't really care if I have to cut them up in any way, shape, or form. You need to figure out first which fabric you want to be the base of your bead. So this is going to be my base. So there's that, there's that. I know I want to include this on my bead as well, as anything that has sequins on it is a yes for me. Some of this really pretty, like purplish gold fabric, and of course some red. So these are the fabrics cut down to the sizes that I want them to be. The first thing you want to do is take your base, and the base should cover the entirety of the bead, of like the base of your bead. And in order to put it into place, you're going to want to take some glue. Now use a glue that adheres to fabric fairly well. I'm going to be using some tacky glue, as I find that I have no trouble at all when creating Bohemian beads with this type of glue. You can use any type of liquid glue, but try to stay away from white glue, as the white sometimes tends to dry white, and you don't want, you know, dry white glue showing through your fabric. That's just that's a big no-no. So make sure you stick to clear glue. And for this process, your glue is going to become your best friend simply because you're going to be using it for every layer. So there is our base. Now, the next fabric that I want to use is some of this really pretty red. So I'm just going to layer it right on top and then just cut off the excess. Cut off the excess and then add some more glue, just like that. Just like that. I then want to add some fabric. So continue to add the glue, rotate it, spread it on before you add your fabric just so that it becomes a lot easier. You want to put your fabric, press it in a little bit. You don't want to apply too much pressure or else you can bend the base of your bead. And you just want to cut off the excess. So now it's time to add some of this really beautiful fabric, and you want to choose where you want to place it, and I think I want to put this down here at the bottom. So take your bead and add your glue. It's kind of like you're frosting a cupcake. You're applying pressure on the glue and then just rotating your bead. You want to make sure that there's enough glue so that the fabric holds. You then just want to take your fabric, apply the pressure to put it down, and then when your two fabric ends meet, you want to cut it and cut the excess. So now it's time to add this little final piece of fabric, and I'm going to add it right up at the top of our Bohemian bead. So you want to make sure that you apply a good and even amount of glue all around, just like that. Make sure you spread it around also if it's too globby or you don't think it's going to be an even layer. And you just want to press in your fabric lightly, not too hard, like I said. Apply a good amount of pressure, and you should be left with something like this. Now I want to add some of this really pretty embroidered metallic fabric. It's so vibrant and it's really pretty. So I want to place it probably in the middle of my fabric, just like so. Add the glue right where you want it to be placed. Adhere your fabric just like this first. I want to cut off this piece because I don't want to use that little piece on my bead. Hold this flap down and then take the other flap and then bring it together. Cut the excess fabric off, and then in order to hold that flap down, you're going to want to add a little bit more glue. And it's really important you do this step with the last piece of fabric that you're going to be putting on your Bohemian bead, as it's kind of the one that holds everything together. So this is how your Bohemian bead should look like right now. Now essentially your Bohemian bead is finished. All you have to do is add a little dangly piece down at the bottom and we're done. But I like to do an extra step that is completely optional. It is a little bit more tricky to do because you're dealing with threads and wires. But this is something that, if you're interested, can really change the look of your Bohemian bead. So I'm just going to take this little piece of metal thread and I'm going to start wrapping it around, starting from the base, and just wrap it around just like this around my entire bead. Then, this is when it gets a little bit tricky because you have to do two things at once. Put your bead on the table and you're going to want to take some really flexible wire. I think it's so thin and flexible that you can't even see it on camera, but this is some really thin wire, as you can see. I bought this from Hobby Lobby and I forgot the dimension and the size of it because I threw away the packaging, but you essentially just want a very bendable, easy, and thin wire. This is not included in the kit because this would practically bend in packaging and it would be all over the place if I shipped it. Like I said, it's completely optional, and it is an extra step that tends to be a little bit more difficult when creating Bohemian beads. But if you are interested in taking this extra step, I definitely recommend going to your local craft store and picking up some very, very thin, flimsy metal wire. Now, do not confuse this wire with the wire that you would use for your base, as that wire needs to be very thick and sturdy. So now that we have our wire, we're going to use the wire and wrap it around just how we wrapped around the thread. So I know this can be a little confusing, but just bear with me. We're going to wrap the wire around. So now I'm just going to wrap it around, making sure that my Bohemian bead and the thread is still intact and is underneath the wire. So essentially the wire is what's holding your thread together. It's not glue. And this is what it looks like when you're done wrapping the thread, as you can see here, and the wire around the base of your bead. I absolutely love the look of this extra step, but if you're not into the look of the wires and you have difficulty with working with thread and wires at the same time, then definitely just disregard that step. But I am happy to say that your base is finally finished. So now the next thing that we need to do is we need to make some dangly fun little pieces at the bottom of our bead. Now you're going to be needing some jump rings. Now the jump rings are included in your Bohemian kit. However, if you can't find jump rings around you, or if you don't purchase the kit, you can find these readily available at your local craft store. So we're going to take our jump ring, and you're going to want to find where there's a slit in your jump ring to just open it up just a little bit, not too much. Just like that. So this is an open jump ring, and this is a closed jump ring. And we're going to be attaching it to, oops, our bead is upside down, to the bottom of our bead. And what I want to be attaching is a cute little bell. It's a cute little Bohemian bell. And these bells are also included in your little kit, as it's something that I absolutely love putting in all of my Bohemian beads and in all of my Bohemian journals as well. So you want to take your jump ring and just attach the bell and put it right into the loop so that you have something like this. You then want to take your little jump ring. You want to put it through the bottom loop of your Bohemian bead. And now you want to hold the bead and the bell together on one end, making sure that it does not interfere with you closing up your jump ring. And then you're left with a beautiful Bohemian bead and a really cute little bell dangling from the bottom. Now you don't just have to attach a bell, you can even attach a little bead. You can create further charms and attach them at the bottom. I also include this really pretty little charm, kind of like a coin charm, and you can attach that at the bottom as well, and that would look absolutely beautiful too. So the possibilities are endless with what you can attach at the bottom, but it's really important to remember when you're creating the bead to leave that little loop so that you can attach something. If you don't create the loop, you won't be able to attach anything at the bottom of your Bohemian bead. And there you go, your Bohemian bead is finally finished. Now you can use these to create jewelry, you can use them as decoration for your journal, and in order to attach it to, let's say, like a journal page, you're going to want to use a little pin such as this one. You want to open up your pin and you want to put it where you created the loop. Now for this particular Bohemian bead, I only wanted there to be one loop because I was going to attach the pin right up here, and I wanted to attach the pin through the loop so that we have the little bell not hanging from the bottom, but right next on the side. Or if we take a look at this Bohemian bead, there is a loop up at the top and there is a loop at the bottom. And all you have to do to create that is you want to leave a little bit of space up at the top, make a loop, and then add your beads. So you can do either way. The first time that you're doing this, just practice with creating one loop, and then when you're comfortable, you can move on to creating two loops, one at the top and one at the bottom. And there you go, your finished Bohemian bead is all ready to be put into your journal or as a beautiful jewelry piece. I am so happy to finally be able to share how I create my beautiful Bohemian beads. It's something that when you look at it, you're like, how in the world am I supposed to create that? But then when you see all of the steps being broken down into sections, seeing all of the materials as separate materials, and then the beauty of the Bohemian bead is when you combine your fabric, your beads, and of course all of your metals together and you create something like this. I absolutely love this. So I really do hope that this tutorial helped you guys and inspired you to create your own Bohemian bead using the textiles from the Bohemian kit or using the textiles that you already have at home. If you're interested in purchasing the beautiful Bohemian textile kit or the linen and lace kit and much more, then tune in for tomorrow where I will be showing and finally listing the release of the textile embellishment kit. This was such a fun tutorial to film, and I really hope that you guys enjoyed it and that it has inspired you to create your own precious Bohemian bead. So thank you so much for watching, and of course, until next time, I hope that you guys have a wonderful day filled with peace and love. Bye-bye.